Good evening, everyone. I am Pastor John,
And I'm Lady Natasha.
and we would like to welcome you to Growing Our Faith. We thank you for joining us on this very special Thursday evening. We are at the conclusion of our Yes, Lord series. So for myself, I am just a tad bit sad because I have most certainly enjoyed this particular series. The Lord has really been blessing in such a tremendous way, and we hope that you all feel the same as well. We will, this is the wrap up session. And so we will go over many of the lessons that we have learned during the course of, 8 weeks?
Yeah, this is episode 8.
Episode 8, yeah. So over the last 8 weeks. And obviously there's nothing that we can say, at least not in a sentence, trying to sum up everything. So we will, I want to read a little bit, then we're going to explain some things, and we're going to be looking for those C's. And so at the conclusion of this episode on tonight, we hope that you will understand what your Yes, Lord should look like. Anytime that we are going through a series, there are always these milestones that we are looking, to obtain. There are things that we're looking to grow our relationship with our God. And so we are not just here just to come on Facebook Live, but we are most certainly trying to, spread the gospel the way that God has called us to. And so, because of all the things that we are going to try and get accomplished here on this evening, I am going to go into our scripture reading, which tonight should be as no surprise, but maybe it is. We'll be coming from Daniel, and we'll be coming from the 3rd chapter, and we'll start. I'm going to read just a little bit, just to kind of give you an understanding of what exactly is going on, and then I'm going to jump, but stay with me. So we'll be reading, starting at Daniel 3, and we will really get into the meat of it around the eighth verse. I know, and I'm going to try and summarize. I really want to, but I kind of wanted to set it up, before. So first, let's see, this is Daniel 3rd chapter, 1st verse, and it says, Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 80 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent together the princesses, the governors, the captains and judges and treasurers and counselors, the sheriffs and all of the rulers of the province to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And let's see, because there is quite a bit to read. And so now I'm going to start paraphrasing, meaning that so Nebuchadnezzar had set up this particular man-made, and I think it's important to establish that this man-made golden image, and he was extremely proud of this. So a decree came along with this particular image as well, basically saying that anytime that you heard the music, the flutes, the harps, the horns, then you were supposed to bow before this golden image and to pay homage to it. And Nebuchadnezzar, again, and so often, a man, he was excited at what he had done. He was very proud of what he had accomplished with this particular image. And so we get down into around the 8th verse, and it says, Wherefore of that certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and said to King Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. The 10th verse reads, Thou king hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, all the music, that they should bow. And so his people were bringing an alt against 3 people that were not bowing down. And so the ones that were not bowing down, were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And one of the reasons that they stood out is because everybody else was bowing down. And so these refused, to do that. And so what we have here is the king having to uphold his word. And so the king, after the accusations were made, the king goes to the 3, and he, these were people that worked for him. And so to him, you would have thought there was some loyalty, at least from that standpoint, that, they would just go ahead. And so he explained to them again. He said that, if you are not willing to bow down, then, you know, you will be cast into the fiery furnace immediately. And so Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were like, "Hey, live on, King. You know, just, you know, but we shall not. We are not going to bow, because one of the things that you have to remember is that your yes, Lord, gives you confidence in who God is. Your yes, Lord, you know, it brings clarity, conviction, commitment, and compliance. And so, you know, these particular young men were convinced that God was right, that his way, and they were able to recall the things that God had done for them. Many times in our lives, the things that we are going through, you know, the Lord is right there to help. But, you know, we faint instead of depending on God the way that we need to. When we look at the 4 C's, and you are committed to God, when you are committed to this way, then, you know, whatever transpires in life, then you are not going to allow it to move, because to move you, you are not there, you know, for the fishes and the loaves, as they say. There was no talk, you know, of this was real talk, as we say. And there was no talk of, you know, like any great thing that was going to happen if Shadrach and Meshach, you know, they were not looking on the other side of it.
Right. There was no promised blessing.
Right. And so often we if there's not a promised blessing, then our yes, Lord, is not where it really needs to be. But Shadrach and Meshach were like, hey, you know, we know what God has done. And so that's where we ought to be. We ought to look the way that these young men look, that you know, God is right, and whatever comes against the Lord's will, then we won't have any part of it. We're going to stand our ground. And so the king was perplexed. He did not quite understand who would give up their own lives. Do you comprehend what I'm saying to you? You are going to be cast into the fiery furnace immediately. And once they, you know, told the king that, hey, we're not going to do it, he was furious. He was extremely upset, and he had to, because he was bound by his word. Not only that, he had all these people that he had called together. They were looking, watching to see. And so he could not, you know, he couldn't let them know that, hey, I let these guys get away with this. And so he cast them into the fiery furnace. And, you know, it was 7 times hotter than normal. And he meant everything, you know, that I have to set an example. And so you find that Shadrach and Meshach were not concerned about life, meaning that they knew who held their life. They knew who held their hand. They knew who they were committed to. There was a clear understanding of who God was. And when you have that, again, with clarity, when you have that, then you are able to meet head on the situations that arise in life. And so, of course, you know, they go in, and, you know, the king is watching, and everyone is watching. And of course, I'm sure that the ones that have thrown them in there were hoping, you know, because one, these guys were, again, holding jobs, you know, positions. And obviously there was some jealousy, because these were, again, people that were brought in. And so, you know, the king comes to check, and he says, has your God first? Before that, though, he says, who is going to save you from my hand? As he's getting ready, who's going to save you? And I can just imagine, you know, in their mind, hey, what do you mean? Who? God is going to be with us.
Right.
I am assured of this. And even if it costs my life, that's okay. I'm willing to do that. And so once that kind of mindset sets in, then God can do miraculous things. We have to give him an opportunity. We have to sell out to the Lord the way that Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego did. And so the king goes on, and he said, you know, has your God saved you? And they were like, live on, king, live on. And I think that is such a, you know, that moment really solidified, you know, for so many during that particular period. And it should to us as well, because, you know, the king looks in and he sees that everybody is okay. And he says that it looks like there's 4, and it looks like the 4th one looks like the Son of God. And after that, then he says that we will no longer serve the gods that we have made. or that we were serving before, but we are going to serve the God of the true and living God. So when our yes, Lord, looks like God has called, he's calling it to look, and we stand on his word, then the Lord moves. And we've talked about this in many of our other series about, you go through things in your life so that you can be a help to somebody else. And so that Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego didn't just go through this for themselves.
Right.
They knew who God was, but this solidified who God was for someone else. Our yes, Lord, is able to go out and to prepare. It pulls other people in. It lets them know that God is who we claim that he is. And so, again, as usual, I will have a few more things to say, but your yes, Lord, should really start to look the way that Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego's yes, Lord, look, because they were, there was clarity about God. They were convicted, there was conviction, there was commitment unto the Lord, and there was compliance. All right.
Okay, so thank you. So this is just to bring back up our 4 C's of our yes, Lord. And for those of you who've been with us, you know that I come in with the application so that we can most successfully implement these things, and we want to live it out. So in this wrap-up episode, we're actually going to add a 5th C. But it's not one that I say add, but it's more like we need to be on the lookout for.
Right.
And because this 5th C is deadly.
Come on.
This 5th C, we do not want to let linger, hang around, be here. And that 5th C is comfortable. These right here, we're good with these. What will trip up 1 through 4 is if we let number 5, comfortable, linger, stay around, get settled in. And so now let's go back to our scripture for tonight that Pastor Jah brought out. Here you have Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They are young men. They are not over the age of 25. They are not. They are either late teens, early 20s. And they are prisoners of war. So what has happened? They've been captured. So they are in captivity. But while in captivity, they caught the eye of the king because of the way they looked, the way they carried themselves, and their abilities. So when you were reading the scripture, you were reading out all of these high positions, accountants, sheriffs, magistrates, all of these. They have been given jobs with these high-ranking officials. So they have the attention of the king. You were selected out of your other people. They selected you out and they've elevated you. Okay, that's the first pillar of comfort.
Right.
You're special. You're different. Come over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second is they are around people of influence and power. Okay. Been selected out. First pillar of comfort. Around people of influence and power. Second pillar of comfort. Right. All of these things prop up comfort. They make comfort easy to lean on. Okay. They are given the best food, accommodations, and drink. So now all of their needs are being met. They have a roof over their head, that's security. They have food and drink in their bellies. They have the finest things to put on. Comfort, 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 comfort. Just lean into it. When we have comfort at that level, things are easy. Things are simple. Just do this and this will happen.
Right.
Just don't say anything about this, and you'll be able to keep the things that you have. Just be quiet about all of that. Just, it's like putting a blanket on, and you just almost snuggle into it, right?
Right.
And so if we are not careful, our yes, Lord, gets covered up by all of that.
Right.
And we get very comfortable. And when we get comfortable, we find ourselves with no strength. Because we aren't striving. We are not exercising our faith.
Right.
I don't need to exercise my faith because what I want, well, at least what I need, is here. I don't have to believe for anything. I can see it.
I can see it.
It's here.
Right.
So, some warning signs that we've let our yes, Lord, get comfortable. Number one, there might be an over-reliance on tradition. We may be in a place of, this is how we've always done it. We used to do it like this. I wish we could go back to, it was so much easier when, right? So we need to check and see if we are relying on tradition and calling it following God.
Right.
That's a tough one. But if we go back to that original checklist that we put together, I thought I'd included it, made a slide for it, but I guess I didn't. But that original checklist that we posted on Facebook, it has some good questions for us to ask ourselves.
Yeah.
So that we can check and see, am I fighting to keep this thing because it really honors God? It really glorifies God. It really puts all the attention on God.
Yeah.
Or am I fighting to keep it because it is easy for me? It's what I know. It is comfortable for me. Okay? Another warning sign that we've let our yes, Lord, get surrounded, even bogged down in comfort is an expanding gray area. We used to be very sure of where our line in the sand was for a no. No, I don't do that. No, that those kinds of conversations are not for me. No, I'm not going to entertain these compliments I'm getting from somebody that's not my spouse, not my significant other. Am I telling myself that things are okay? well, it's okay. It won't hurt this time.
Yeah.
It's just a little, they didn't mean anything by it. I deserve this. That's one where we can very easily let things slip in with the I deserve this. I've been under so much pressure, and
Right.
we need to check and see, has our gray area expanded? Things that used to be very concrete, very black and white, is it now gray?
Mm-hmm.
Is it fuzzy around the edges? And then our third warning sign that that we might be too comfortable is that we have diminished presence of fruit.
Mm.
We're not bearing fruit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whether it's long suffering, gentleness, kindness, love, joy, peace, temperance.
Yep.
That temperance. Can we point to concrete examples of the fruit of the Spirit manifesting in our daily lives within the last month? Like, we should be able to pull up in our mind a concrete example of when
I think that it's so easy for us to hide our yes lords or the condition of them in our work week, because some of us have a different personality when we are at work. We are not exhibiting the fruit, of the Spirit. We try and separate church, or our spiritual walk with our work. This is how I have to be, to be able to deal, like with people. But that's actually not true. God is calling you to show those characteristics, to show those signs every day, because one, in exhibiting them every day, you know what they look like, and they get stronger. You can see the weaknesses. You can see the areas where growth needs to take place. But I think a lot of times we don't look for them, because, like we've said many times, it's effort. You're asking me to it's going to pull from me,
right? And the effort is, the only effort there is to deny ourselves, because the fruit of the Spirit, we don't have it.
Right.
It is from God.
Right.
So there isn't, the effort is for me to push me down.
See.
So the fruit of the Spirit is what stands up to address Miss So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so, when they come at me sideways.
Right.
So my effort, what I am called to do is to surrender to the Spirit and let the Spirit be the one to respond.
Right.
And so, because that will let me know the condition of my yes, Lord. That will let me know whether or not my yes, Lord, has been replenished, restored, revitalized, in, since I first said it. It should not even, my yes, Lord, shouldn't even be operating at the same level as my original yes, Lord. You know how, if you've ever looked at a soundboard and you can see when it measures sound, and it goes from very small pulsating, and then when you get loud, it just kind of shoots out, and it's big, and the even the color green gets brighter, right? So that's what my today, yes, Lord, that's what it ought to look like, because my 1996, yes, Lord, which is 25 years old. My 1996, yes, Lord, which is, I'm going to go back to that one because that's the one that stuck, right? I had some yes, Lords before that one, but they didn't stick. So I'm going to go back to that one in 96 because that one stuck. But that, yes, Lord, that's, it's great. But my 2021, yes, Lord.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's a beast.
Oh, yeah.
That's beast mode, yes, Lord.
Yeah.
Like, yes. That let me put this in football terms. My 2021, yes, Lord, that's Derrick Henry. Trucking a man. You see what I'm saying? Toting a man on his legs into the end zone.
Right.
That's my 2021. Yes, Lord. But to be honest, my 2010, yes, Lord.
Yeah.
It was puny.
Yeah.
It was. So I hope that in painting that picture, you get an idea of what I'm saying, and that we have to surrender. Like, there's nothing in me that can sustain my yes, Lord. My yes, Lord, is grace from God every day. All I want to have is sense enough to say yes, Lord.
Yes.
That's what I want. I want the Lord to give me a good mind enough to know I need to surrender it all to Him. That I cannot do it. I don't have the capacity to do it. It's not in me to do it. That it is all Him. It's all His strength. It's all His grace. And what He wants me to do, what I am called to do with my yes, Lord, is surrender so that I have access to His strength and to His grace in order to live out all of the things that He is calling us into. So, in full transparency, the Lord is working this episode out as we go.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in riding home, I was just praying to the Lord, like, Lord, how do you want us to close this out? And what should the focus be? And He had me, so I turned on Joel Osteen radio. And this morning, so let me back up. So this morning in this morning's prayer, I was asking the Lord, I was like, Lord, is there a fifth C?
Yeah.
Is there a number 5? For those of you who are just joining us, and we want to say good evening. We want to go back and remind you of our 4 C's: clarity, conviction, commitment, and compliance. And so this morning I was asking the Lord, is there a fifth C?
Right.
I just asked the question. And then, I didn't hear anything right in that moment, so I went on with the day. But coming home this afternoon, on Joel Osteen radio, Joel was talking about the problem with being comfortable.
Yeah.
I said, Lord, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the other C. And so we're going to give Joel credit. Joel was bringing out the point that comfortable will hinder us from our calling.
Yep.
Because in order to answer the call of God. And we always think that means something about preaching. No, God calls people to do, many different things. God called Ananias to go out there and get Saul off the Damascus highway.
Right.
He was blind, stumbling around in the dirt, and didn't quite know what had happened to him, and needed someone to guide him and show him the way.
Mm-hmm.
And God called Ananias. And Ananias, so God didn't call Ananias to preach, he called him to serve. Right? So there are many capacities in which God calls us, and we feel the pull and the call of God. The woman with the alabaster box felt called to worship.
Right.
She was called to worship. She wasn't called to preach. She went right in the middle of that dinner party and worshiped the Savior because she had seen him before. And she wanted to show him the profound effect that he had on her life.
Right.
And so she felt that call. She got out of her comfort zone.
Right.
She did not want to go be in front of those people. Simon was sitting there in judgment of her. I know who she is. I know what she does.
Right.
And did you trust to roll up in my courtyard in the middle of my dinner party? And then he was ready to judge Jesus. Oh, so you just gonna let a woman like this touch you? See, now I already know who you are, Rabbi. And so the Lord Jesus, in his sweet, humble spirit, but his whole full godness, got Simon together with what? A question. Simon, do you see this woman? Do you see her? And you can go back and look at the 14 conversations to get that full lesson. But my point for bringing that out is we're called for different things. And in both of these incidents, they were called to something very uncomfortable.
Right.
Ananias was called to go and minister to, and by minister to, I mean physically see about, take care of, and then teach him about Jesus, the very one who had been persecuting those in the church. Now, that was uncomfortable for that man.
For 3 years.
For 3 years, he was host to really a stalker. Saul had been stalking the church and the apostles, and now he was called to be one. And Ananias was called to train him. The woman with the alabaster box was called out of prostitution, was called out of what she was doing. She readily came out and began to live her life in a very different way. But when she saw the master again and realized who he was, she took that alabaster box, which was costly. She took that perfume, which was very costly, and poured it on his feet, because Simon, the one who was supposed to have manners, had not even given him basic hospitality. And she ministered to Jesus in front of all of these people. The party was yet going on. And she worshiped in the middle of it because that was what she was called to do. So when we are comfortable, we are not operating in our calling because we are not equipped naturally for our calling. Our calling glorifies God. He's going to equip us for it. He's going to prepare us for it. He's going to strengthen us for it. He's going to guide us to it. And in all of it, all we will be able to say is, this was Jesus. This was all Jesus. To God be the glory. I didn't know how. I didn't. But if I'm comfortable, then I know immediately where to turn for answers. I know immediately where to go get resources.
Yeah.
Where's their space?
No, there isn't.
Where's their space for God and his miraculous power to be manifested to do this work if you can do it?
Mm-hmm.
So we need to be mindful of our yes, Lord, being bogged down in comfort.
Right. And when you were speaking about being comfortable, I had the picture in my head of how when I get off work, there are evenings when I really look forward to coming to get into our comfortable chairs. And while in that chair, I am so relaxed, put my feet up, and I'm just watching the television, and I'm just, I'm almost zoned out.
Mm-hmm.
But that cannot be the condition of my yes, Lord. As we have said many times, you are forever. It's progressive. I'm constantly looking for the Lord so that he can lead me, because there's so much work, that needs to be done. There's so many things that are going on. And if we are so comfortable, we're not focused. If we are not praying the way that we need to, if we are not sharing or trying to help someone, if we are not out doing the work that God has called us to do, it's not getting done. And so we have to understand that, the Lord wants us, to continue to look to him. He wants us to continue to strive to do better with our yes, Lords.
Yes, that is an excellent question, Sister Dolly. So that's exactly where we are about to go. We're about to go to the practical. What can we do? And so I'm sharing these tips. They're not in any particular order.
Mm-hmm.
So one may work for you better than another, but here we go. So, okay. So this is about tools to break out of our comfort zone.
Right.
Okay. Tools to break out. So the first one is we have to admit we're in it.
Yep.
We got to admit that we're comfortable. Sometimes, let me just say something, because I enjoyed being fat. I mean, I still am, but I've lost a great deal of weight. But when I was very heavy and it was greatly impacting my health, my joints, my back, my heart. I could feel all of that happening in my body, but I was okay with it. Didn't that sound crazy? But I had to admit that I liked the condition I was in. It was when I got tired of it,
right,
that I was able to make a sustainable change.
Right. Yep.
Not before. So at first I had to admit you like what you're in. That's hard. It did not feel good. And if we don't like it, because I know that, there may be people out there dealing with some really, really difficult situations, very dysfunctional situations. And you're saying to yourself, I do not like this. And let me just say this right now. I believe you. But here's something else. So if the question isn't, do I like this? Another question you need to ask yourself is, how am I benefiting? Right? Because I'm getting something out of my present condition.
Right.
It's giving me something.
Right.
And again, this isn't a fit. This does not feel good. It is very uncomfortable to address areas where we have just let ourselves get comfortable. So a prayer to pray is, Father, show me how this is impacting me. Show me how I am, show me where I think I need this.
Mm-hmm.
Show me why I can't get out of it. Show me where the root is. There's a song that I've been listening called "Look What You've Done for Me," and the lyrics are, it says, you're finally tearing all that stuff is by the root up. Then the next line is healing all my wounds up.
Mm-hmm.
When we are in comfortable situations, something has us rooted there.
Right.
Whether it is fear,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to do it without this thing or this person. That'll keep me rooted. Codependency,
yeah.
That will keep me rooted. A lack of knowledge. I have been unable to truly see the damage that is happening. But in all of that, God will show you
Mm-hmm.
how to get from under that root.
Yeah.
That
Mm-hmm.
can be a prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Lord, I want this destroyed at the root.
Yes.
I want it destroyed at the root, because something
Mm-hmm.
is got you tethered, and we got to ask God to come sever it. We don't have the strength to sever it.
Nope.
God does. Okay. Number 2, and this kind of goes hand in hand. We got to seek truth tellers.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have people who we trust. But you got to give them space to tell you the truth.
Right.
We can't ball up, take our little ball home, and I don't want to play with you anymore. So when you begin to pour out, whether it's to a spiritual mentor, to your prayer partner, if you're able to do that with your spouse, your significant other, sometimes it might be your children.
Yeah.
Maybe you are you've been wrestling with a truth, and different people have told you, and you've not been ready to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got to seek truth tellers. We got to have people in our corner that's going to tell us the truth.
Yeah.
Okay? That helps us keep that comfort back. So then, when we admit that we were in our comfort zone, when we seek truth tellers, number 3, set aside time to hear from God. And now here's the key. We got to get okay with being attentively quiet during prayer. We got to get okay with the silence. But not silence so our mind starts to wander.
Right.
The silence of quieting our list of needs and our list of wants and our list of Lord, please. We gotta fold a list up.
Yeah.
And get quiet and attentive to hear from God, because He will answer everything that we put out there.
Mm-hmm.
He'll answer it in His Word. He'll send it through someone else.
Mm-hmm.
He'll send it through a song.
Yep.
He's faithful to answer.
Mm-hmm. And He is always listening. He's always listening.
And coming out of this comfort zone, we've got to stretch our faith, but on purpose. Stretch our faith so that we can seek our assignment from God. So in speaking to Sister Dolly's question about, she said, so I can live out my 2021, yes, Lord. Mm-hmm. So if you know God has been telling you to do something, then it's time to seek Him for the particulars of that assignment. How do we seek God? This we have to do through fasting and praying. And we got to change our
playground.
We got to change our playground.
Yeah.
We may have to start hanging out with some new people.
Mm-hmm.
And that can make for some uncomfortable conversations, because we may have to, not be with some other folks for a while, right, because we're really trying to hear from God. And we know that person might be a distraction for us, or that person's chaos, that person's great. Sometimes people just want you to be their emotional dump.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you got to shake off all of what they just dumped on you, and fight through what you need, so that you can get back. And you may not be able to be the emotional carry-all for somebody else right now, because you are trying to hear from God.
Mm-hmm. It's like traveling home the same way all the time. Travel home the same way. We complain about how long it takes us to get home, all the traffic. I get sleepy sometimes because there's nothing to really hold my attention. But when you try a different way, when you go a different way, you find different things. You find that, this is faster. It was such a beautiful sunset. Things that you hadn't even noticed. God will put those things. He will personify those things in your walk with Him. Because remember what we said a couple of series before, when Daniel had purposed, when he said, when you make up in your mind that I want the change, then God starts to work then. Mm-hmm. He starts to work then. So when we are saying that Lord, I'm seeking you for my 2021, yes, Lord, I want it to be better. Then once you have made that statement, not just with your mouth, but in your heart, then God is just, He's relishing that, and He begins to move on your behalf. So it's not as difficult as we make it out. And, I really have to stress that there, so many times we make it seem like holiness, this walk that we are on, having a great relationship with God, that it is so incredibly hard. We make this hard, because as we said in the beginning, denying yourself, It's a lot of work. It's a lot, because there are days, when people have vexed you, they have said things, and you trying to work. I'm trying to work on my best self, but this person has said whatever. But spending time with God, spending time with God can change your personality, can change,
It can.
the way that you used to go about doing things. So change, the way that you go home. Try it a different way.
And so, to that, when I change how I go home, I'll call and tell them, hey, I'm so and so.
Yeah.
So I bring that up to say this. If you know that God is calling you to something, you need to get yourself an accountability partner.
Right. Vitally important.
You need an accountability partner. You need to tell somebody what that thing is. You cannot, because when you keep it to yourself, then if you don't do it, nobody knows. You know, and God knows, but there isn't anyone to say, hey, I thought, we were doing this, or you were doing this, where is, how far along, or you need an accountability partner. You need to write it down. You need to make it visible. And you need someone to stand in that gap with you and for you. So you got to open up to somebody. You can pray and ask God to send who that somebody is. But remember, they've got to be a truth teller. You don't need anyone that's going to let you help you accept your excuses. Yeah. Right? So you need an accountability partner. You need to write it down, and you need to prioritize doing something on that goal daily.
Yeah.
Doing something on that goal daily. God may be calling you to just display more gratitude. That might be what God is calling you to. God may be calling you to to repair a relationship. God may be calling you into a season of anointed worship, of worshiping at a very different level. But whatever God is calling you to, you need somebody needs to know, so that they can support you and be your accountability partner.
It's true. It's like, and again, it's the wrap-up session. So we're grabbing things, some of the things that we've already said. But when I was sharing with you all about, about the morning prayer and my apprehension, the Lord had been, dropping that in my spirit about starting a morning prayer. And most of you know that prayer is one of the things that I love. I love to go to the Lord in prayer, many different types of prayers, but I love going to the Lord in prayer. And so I was just allowing, like my mind, like to get in the way of how long and am I going to be able to sustain? And, and the Lord was really during one of our, Bible studies, speaking of accountability, just really, once I said that and put it out there, well, now, like the first lady, asked me, we have, the early morning prayer, and it's just a gentle nudge. It is something that helps you to be reminded of what you have said to God, how you have committed to Him. And so now, we've been doing it, for about 3 weeks now, I think. And I'm so looking forward to it. I look forward to the 15 minutes, that we spend going to the Lord, and I can feel the presence of God. I can feel the move, not just during that day, but throughout the week. Because again, when you are obedient to God, when you try Him, okay, I'm sorry. I was gonna say when you try Him, He for who He is. And see, that's always, we try God, the Lord has great big plans for us. And we don't even scratch the surface because we are so afraid if He can get you to start these baby steps. Because in the baby steps, you learn how to trust God. You learn that He will never fail. And then we get to Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego, to where, we are not going to bow. This is not going to happen. My yes, Lord, is great.
Right. And their yes, Lord, their 4 C's. I'm gonna always bring these back. That's how you say, okay, take our lives.
Yeah.
Try us. Put us in the furnace.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have clarity about who God is. We know Jehovah.
I mean, just know
we
Him.
know Jehovah. We are convinced and we have conviction that He is the true and living God, and that if He wants to, He will come deliver us. We are committed. We are committed to Jehovah. We are committed to His way. We are committed to bring Him glory. And we will only comply with what Jehovah says. So, see, they didn't get in the furnace and then get the 4.
That's right.
The 4 actually put them in the furnace.
That's right.
The 4 brought the heat. The 4 brought the fire on to them. But see, but because those 4 were sharp,
right?
Because those 4 C's had been in use, full use, they were at full strength, and comfort never had a chance with them.
Because time had been spent with God.
Time had been spent with God. Time had been spent with God. Time had been spent with God. So they were not at their weakest going into the furnace. They were at their strongest. They were as strong as they had ever been, sitting in that furnace, watching it, or feeling it rather, increase in temperature, knowing that they had no physical recourse to get themselves out, that they didn't, but the God they served did. Because one of the greatest things that they said was, if He,
I was going to get on that. You're right.
They said, and if He doesn't,
if He does not
come,
if He doesn't,
we still standing on these 4, and we're not bowing down. See, once again, the C's are how they got in trouble.
Right.
Those C's got them in trouble. And it was those same C's that got them delivered, because they refused that 5th C. They refused to get comfortable in a foreign place. They refused to get comfortable in this season of this down season. Do not get comfortable in this season of downness. Don't get comfortable. God is saying that to somebody. Do not get comfortable where you are. Do not let your mind begin to accept that this is just how it is. Don't do it. The God you serve is greater. He is far greater than this is just how it is. And He is calling you. He's calling you to faith right now.
Yeah.
He's calling you to faith. He's calling you to believe.
Mm-hmm. So that really segues into
it's 7:02.
It's 7:02, but it segues into our next series.
Okay.
So for some time, the First Lady and I have been having morning prayer, to where, as we say, with our weekly Wednesday prayer. So if you want to know all the little tidbits with that, you should join us every Wednesday from 6 a.m. to 6:15 a.m. But we frame the day with God's word. And so during this particular season, so many of our brothers and sisters are struggling. There's anxiety all over the place. But God has given us the assurance that he is still on the throne.
Mm-hmm.
Oof, boy, that he is still on the throne. And so as we were going through this particular series, the Lord dropped on Sister Flowers, and then she wanted to know about, how, what I thought about it. And I told her that, hey, it was already in my prayer. It has already settled. And so our next series will be on encouragement. Is going to be on encouragement. And so we hope that starting next week on Wednesday at 6.
In the candy Halloween.
Oh, that's right. Not next Wednesday. I'm sorry, because we will be out doing some community stuff next Wednesday.
It'll be the first week of November.
First week of November.
We'll launch the new series.
Yeah. So anyway, so it is. It's going to be a series of encouragement. And, it is something that God has been dealing with both of us. And we are excited to be used by God. The Lord has blessed us so tremendously. If you only knew how he had taken care of Jai and Natasha, how he had brought how far he has brought us. You can't just say, yes, Lord. You can't just say it. God will give you something behind that if you crucify self, if you stay with him. And so it is that we hope to share with other people, and that we continue to try and pour out to other people, because he is real. And for every negative thing that you hear, God has something greater. He has an encouraging word. And so we are determined all the more to help as many people that will accept the help. And so again, we thank you for being with us. We will be in the church, at the church on Sunday in person. You can come and see us. We'll be giving a word from the Lord at 11:15, and we'll also have Sunday school at 10 a.m. And that will be Facebook Live. But then people are able to come into the church at 11:15 to hear the word. And then after that, we will be the special guest speaker at 3 p.m. Bethlehem Temple Church of God in Christ for the appreciation service for the greatest father-in-law that it is. My father-in-law, Assistant Pastor Roy Matthews, and his lovely wife, Margie Matthews. And so we hope that you have enjoyed this series. Give us a day and I'll have it all compiled, and it'll be out on our website at ghtcogic.org. And if you would like to donate, which we desperately need, please go out to our website and look at our Cash App and donate, because we are getting ready to do some community stuff. Next week, we have our ending food giveaway coming up, and we desperately need our funds for that so that we can feed 100 families.
That's what you said.
It is. So we're going to feed 100 families for the Christmas holidays. God is able. It is going to happen.
It is going to
Put yourself in the way. Try God.
Yes.
Try him, and he will deliver. We love you, and we hope that you have enjoyed growing our faith. I'm Pastor Jai.
I'm Lady Natasha.
You all be blessed.